Let me get up on stage. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Okay. You do realize that if you start clapping for people just getting up on stage, you're going to have to keep this up for the whole day. I'm warning you now. I'm expecting rapturous applause every time someone takes to the stage. Morning, my name is Eliza Anyangwe. I am a journalist and moderator. It is my great pleasure to host today's event as MC. It is wonderful to see a room like this so full. So let me give you a little bit of context about why you're here before we get started to hear what is indeed very esteemed speakers. Welcome to Bologna, for anyone who doesn't live here. I would say that in Italian, but I don't want to embarrass myself. For those of you who are also following online, the event is being broadcast on the Connect for Climate Facebook page, so welcome to you also, our virtual community. We're here for All for the Green, which is about mobilizing climate science. It's a conference focused on the achievements and the work of the IPCC over the last 30 years. It is graciously hosted by the Italian Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea, and the Connect for Climate program of the World Bank Group. We are very, very happy to be celebrating 30 years of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, today. As you're all now seated, we will begin with our program. But let me tell you a bit about the IPCC. It is a scientific and intergovernmental body under the auspices of the United Nations, set up at the request of member governments. It is dedicated to the task of providing the world with an objective scientific view on climate change and its political and economic impacts. First set up in 1988 by two UN organizations, the World Meteorological Organization and the United Nations Environment Programme, and has since been the scientific foundation underlying all of our climate action by producing reports that support the work of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So All for the Green is about to start. The Connect for Climate team that have been working hard to organize this event with the support of the Italian and German governments is set up to raise awareness of climate action, motivate society, so yourselves, to embrace transformative solutions and encourage youth and influencers around the world to become leaders on climate action. A few housekeeping rules. Please have your phones on silent, though we do not want you to put them away because we hope that you will be tweeting and Facebooking and Instagramming, not Snapchat because I'll disappear in 24 hours, but everything else about your participation here today. The hashtags will always be on screen, All for the Green and IPCC 30. The toilets, if you do not already know, are out this door. Gentlemen, you go upstairs, and ladies, you go through the other very grand room across the hall to get to the bathroom. So I would advise you not to wait until you are very desperate. It's a bit of a walk. At the end of the day, we hope you will stay with us throughout the whole day, because at the end of the day, there's a very special artistic performance combining artificial intelligence with music. You do not want to miss that. And there are some programs that have been given out. Unfortunately, we did not have enough for everyone, but come and see me if you want to take a closer look at the biographies of some of our speakers, because we will not be reading them out. As you can imagine, people have several accomplishments. If you do not already have a headset, please do pick one up if you need it. The event will be mostly in English, so if you need translation services, that will be available to you. Okay, so enough from me. With no further ado, let me introduce our opening speakers to provide key opening remarks. Given that we're in Bologna, it is our pleasure to have the Italian Minister of Environment, Land and Sea, Gian Luca Galletti. Please welcome to the stage.
Grazie a tutti di essere intervenuti così numerosi. Saluto prima di tutto i numerosi giovani che sono presenti e questo mi fa un grandissimo piacere perché uno degli obiettivi di questa manifestazione era proprio portare qui voi. Caro Presidente dell'IPCC lì, magnifico Rettore Ubertini, Vice Direttore Esecutivo del Programma delle Nazioni Unite per l'Ambiente Thiaw, Professor Massimo Bergami, Direttore della BBS, autorità, amiche e amici. Ho voluto fortemente che questo evento di celebrazione dei 30 anni della fondazione del Comitato Intergovernativo per i cambiamenti climatici si svolgesse proprio qui, a Bologna, nella mia città. Considero infatti questa ricorrenza il prestigioso epilogo di un percorso istituzionale che mi ha visto impegnato come Ministro dell'Ambiente per un quadriennio, oggi esattamente 4 anni e 4 giorni. Ringrazio Connect for Climate e il movimento All for the Green per il lavoro organizzativo che rappresenta un seguito ideale di ciò che insieme abbiamo fatto nel giugno scorso proprio qui a Bologna. E ringrazio naturalmente il Comune per ospitare anche questo evento, in continuità con le numerose iniziative che hanno già avuto luogo in città nell'ambito della Presidenza G7. Dalla sua fondazione, l'IPCC rappresenta il punto di riferimento scientifico della Convenzione quadro sul cambiamento climatico. Nei suoi 30 anni di attività, con un lavoro sistematico di organizzazione e valutazione della ricerca, ha consentito ai decisori politici di muoversi sulla base di evidenze scientifiche condivise e di intraprendere il percorso virtuoso che ha portato dapprima all'adozione del protocollo di Kyoto e poi al grande accordo di Parigi. Il lavoro dell'IPCC ha per me anche un grande valore etico. Organizzando le conoscenze ad oggi disponibili in materia di cambiamento climatico, contribuisce ad accrescere il livello di consapevolezza e quindi all'instaurarsi delle condizioni necessarie per far sì che le scelte sulla lotta al surriscaldamento globale possano avvenire in maniera informata e responsabile verso la collettività e le generazioni future. Io in questi 4 anni ho imparato 2 cose. Me le porterò nel cuore per molto tempo, 2 insegnamenti di vita, che l'ambiente è un laboratorio naturale del dialogo tra le nazioni, ma allo stesso tempo che fenomeni come i cambiamenti climatici, la gestione della fauna e della biodiversità in generale, possono prestare il fianco ad approcci settari e divisivi. Per questa ragione ho sempre posto al centro della mia azione politica l'evidenza scientifica e per questa ragione ho voluto organizzare la celebrazione odierna in chiave di approfondimento, divulgazione e scambio con l'IPCC. Solo tramite la scienza e la comunicazione, solo tramite il dialogo fondato sui fatti, si possono affrontare e gestire i fenomeni delle conseguenze catastrofiche come i cambiamenti climatici. E mi fa piacere che questo momento di dialogo e approfondimento avvenga in quest'aula bellissima. Mi ricordo ancora quando è stato inaugurato, era il 1988, 30 anni fa, proprio lo stesso anno in cui il Programma delle Nazioni Unite per l'Ambiente e l'Organizzazione Mondiale della Meteorologia decisero di fondare il Comitato Intergovernativo per i Cambiamenti Climatici. L'aula absidale di Santa Lucia fu riaperta in maggio dall'allora rettore Roversi Monaco, in occasione del 9° centenario dell'Università di Bologna, dopo un restauro di straordinaria qualità. Sì, perché chi è nato a Bologna porta questa responsabilità, la responsabilità di una città che da più di 9 secoli ha messo la scienza e il dialogo al centro del suo sviluppo, una città orgogliosa del suo passato, ma che sa anche guardare al suo futuro. Bologna mi è stata sempre al fianco in questi anni, con il suo straordinario patrimonio di conoscenza, la sua bellezza e la rete di uomini eccezionali che ne hanno fatto un punto di riferimento imprenditoriale, scientifico e tecnologico. Questa città, proprio nel campo della meteorologia, ha saputo guadagnarsi una leadership a livello nazionale ed europeo. E qui non vi nascondo la mia soddisfazione personale per aver contribuito a questo risultato. Proprio il 2018, infatti, vedrà la nascita, dopo anni in cui se n'era parlato, di Italia Meteo, l'Agenzia Nazionale per la Meteorologia e la Climatologia, con sede centrale a Bologna presso il Tecnopolo, nella stessa sede dove sarà trasferito il data center del Centro Europeo per le previsioni meteorologiche a medio termine, una organizzazione intergovernativa della quale fanno parte 22 paesi europei e 12 paesi cooperanti, con sede a Reading in Gran Bretagna. Vi garantisco che per portare a casa questi risultati abbiamo dovuto vincere 2 battaglie, una in Parlamento e l'altra diplomatica. Ma ci siamo riusciti, abbiamo saputo fare rete e ora la città potrà vantare 9.000 metri quadri in più dedicati alla conoscenza. Bologna oggi rappresenta insomma un punto di incontro culturale e scientifico ed è a mio parere la sede ideale per celebrare i 30 anni di sfida culturale, scientifica e anche politica al global warming di cui l'IPCC è il simbolo. Un simbolo che non a caso ha ottenuto anche il riconoscimento accademico più prestigioso del pianeta, il premio Nobel per la pace nel 2007. Abbiamo dunque raggiunto risultati importanti, ma oggi i risultati non esistono se non vengono adeguatamente comunicati. Per questo ho voluto organizzare questa giornata, per mobilitare le forze della scienza e creare un'occasione di divulgazione e di scambio. Parleremo del ruolo della conoscenza per indirizzare l'azione e ascolteremo i rappresentanti dell'IPCC che ci diranno come vedono il futuro. La giornata di oggi, come dicevo all'inizio, è l'epilogo di un percorso che ha visto l'Italia protagonista durante la COP20 a Lima, durante la presidenza della Francia, in uno dei momenti più delicati della storia della democrazia multilaterale e poi l'anno scorso proprio qui a Bologna, in occasione della riunione dei ministri dell'ambiente del G7. La giornata di oggi è idealmente un prolungamento proprio del G7, della settimana di All for the Green, la manifestazione organizzata in collaborazione con il programma Connect for Climate della Banca Mondiale, che per una settimana ha reso Bologna la capitale mondiale dell'ambiente. Perché la sfida dei cambiamenti climatici che influenzano fenomeni epocali come le migrazioni, il dissesto idrogeologico, la gestione dell'agricoltura e dell'acqua, l'innalzamento del livello del mare, la desertificazione, non ha lo spazio che merita all'interno del dibattito mediatico, politico, nazionale. E vi assicuro che è una sfida che abbiamo preso molto seriamente. Durante i miei 2 mandati abbiamo provato la strategia per lo sviluppo sostenibile, quella per i cambiamenti climatici e la strategia energetica nazionale, 3 documenti di indirizzo che hanno al centro l'intenzione di rispondere ai cambiamenti climatici e costituiscono un vero e proprio piano industriale del Paese, un manifesto che dovrebbe orientare le scelte dei singoli e delle istituzioni per cercare di arginare i cambiamenti climatici. Una delle fortune che ho avuto è stata proprio quella di vivere in questo momento straordinario dal punto di vista politico e diplomatico. Nel 2015 hanno visto la luce 3 documenti che segneranno la storia e che hanno al centro l'ambiente e il clima. L'enciclica di Papa Francesco, Laudato Si', l'Agenda 2030 per lo sviluppo sostenibile, adottata dall'Assemblea Generale delle Nazioni Unite, e l'Accordo di Parigi sul clima. I documenti e gli impegni però hanno un valore ed efficacia solo se vengono sostenuti e attuati dalle persone, solo se le istituzioni, l'accademia, le imprese, i singoli cittadini li fanno propri. Siamo qui proprio per questo. Citando il precedente segretario generale delle Nazioni Unite, Ban Ki-moon, non c'è un piano B perché non esiste un pianeta B. In ambiente o si vince tutti insieme o si perde tutti insieme. Oggi cercheremo di dare un nostro ulteriore piccolo contributo. Grazie.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. So we have made the connection already between science and dialogue, research and communication. So who better to take up that mantle than Francesco Ubertini, who's Rector at Alma Mater Studiorum, Università di Bologna. Welcome.
Distinguished Minister, distinguished IPCC Chair and UNEP Deputy Executive Director, dear students and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you and very welcome to Bologna and to Alma Mater Studiorum, University of Bologna. It is a very special honor for us to host this prominent event in the Aula Magna of the University of Bologna. This new edition of the All for the Green aims at highlighting the work of the IPCC on its 30th anniversary and at bringing further the debate on climate change issues and on how they can be mitigated at the local and global level. Climate change mitigation requires solution-oriented and transdisciplinary actions and perspectives that integrate research and innovation, technology, business models, finance, governance and regulation, as well as skills and social innovation, and involves co-creation of knowledge and co-delivery of outcomes with economic, industrial and research actors, public authorities and civil society. The implementation of sustainable development and climate change mitigation is asking for actions addressed to improve our understanding of the causes of climate change and to pave the way for pathways and solutions to address them, underpinning the European and global efforts to achieve the targets of the Paris Agreement. To build societies that are resilient to the impacts of climate change, extreme events, and natural disasters. To bring more nature and natural features and processes into cities, landscapes, and seascapes through locally adapted, resource-efficient, and systemic interventions. Decoupling economic growth from resource use, so circular economy, which demands a fundamental shift in technology, economics, finance, and society as a whole. This permits improving the efficiency and effectiveness of resource use, both primary and secondary, boost energy efficiency while also leading to a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Finally, to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of resource use, including water, substantially reduce the generation of residual waste and thus reduce adverse environmental climate effects, while also providing new business opportunities, including for SMEs. These priorities are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, whether in the areas of climate actions, water management, environmental protection, business competitiveness, and others. University of Bologna is strongly committed toward these challenges and is very active on all such priorities, providing interdisciplinary skills and education through professional master and PhD programs, leading and implementing research and innovation networks and projects, and developing new business models and regulations by involving economic and industrial actors, public authorities, and civil society. On education side, among others, just to mention a few of the future actions, 2 international master programs are going to start on September. The first on low carbon technologies and the second one on global change, ecology, and sustainable development goals, together with a new school for sustainability management in partnership with our business school. More generally, our new strategic plan, launched in 2016, sets sustainability as a strategic direction common to all our missions: research, education, public and social engagement. Coherently, we have decided to present an annual report on the contributions of all our outcomes to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, together with an innovative methodology to measure their impact. The second report is scheduled on June. So I'm really happy to host this conference today, and I wish to express my gratitude to the organizers, and I wish you all a very fruitful and productive conference. Thank you.
Representing the birthday organization, I suppose, the IPCC, please welcome to the stage Hoesung Lee, the chair of the IPCC. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Excellency Minister Galletti, Rector Ubertini, UNEP Deputy Executive Director Thiaw, members of IPCC Bureau, dear friends and colleagues. It is a pleasure to be in Bologna, which is such an important center for science. This is where the renowned astronomer Cassini conducted some of his most important work. In the St. Petronio Basilica, you can see his great meridian line. Careful observations there demonstrated Kepler's theory of the elliptical movements of the planets around the sun. At a time when many denied the heliocentric theory and argued that the sun and planet orbited the Earth. Cassini is particularly inspiring to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change because of the practical applications of his scientific work in areas from hydraulics to map making. Science can be policy relevant, and policy relevance is the hallmark of the IPCC. This year marks 3 decades of the IPCC's contribution to science-based policy. I'd like to thank Minister Galletti, and through him, the Italian government, for their generous invitation to host this event and bring together actors from science, policy, and culture. And to Rector Ubertini, a special thanks for allowing us to hold this meeting in this extraordinarily beautiful and historic hall, which stands out in a city full of history and culture. Ladies and gentlemen, this year is not just one where we look back on 3 decades of acting as the voice of climate science to policymakers. 2018 promises to be one of the most significant years in the IPCC history. We have just completed the selection of authors for our 6th assessment report. This will allow work to start this year on the 3 working group contributions to AL6, which will be completed in 2022 with a synthesis report that will be the major scientific input to the first global stocktake under the Paris Agreement. The global stocktake opens this year with the Talanoa Dialogue, which will be concluded at COP24 in December. The IPCC special report on global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius will be the major scientific input this dialogue. This report will be finalized at the beginning of this October, 2 months before the COP24. This report, may I say, is one of the most keenly anticipated IPCC reports that I can recall. Besides exploring the impacts of warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius and the pathways that would meet the aspirational goal, it will also lay out the difference between a warming of 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees. This is an example of the IPCC process working at its best. Policymakers seek the information, and IPCC responds and delivers within the policy relevant time frame. The process also contributes to the advancement of science. The fact that IPCC is conducting this report galvanizes the research community, generating new literature for the IPCC to assess. Meanwhile, work is proceeding apace on 3 other products that we are preparing in this assessment cycle. Next year, we will release the special report on the oceans and cryosphere and the changing climate, the special report on climate change and land, and a methodology report, which is the 2019 refinement to the 2206 IPCC guidelines on national greenhouse gas inventories. This methodology report, this methodology update will underpin the Paris Agreement by allowing countries to measure their greenhouse gas emissions and removals on the basis of latest science. So we are releasing 8 reports over the next few years, one or more, almost every year between now and 2022. As you can see, reports we are preparing are highly integrated with and support the Sustainable Development Agenda. We achieved this ambitious work program thanks to the time and expertise contributed by hundreds of scientists who are our bureau members, our authors, and our expert reviewers. And we rely on financial support of member governments, including Italy, to deliver our reports. We urge all governments to support their work program, in fact, their work program in this work, with financial support, with commitments over several years so that the IPCC's AR6 in its entirety can proceed effectively. We are here to celebrate science, ladies and gentlemen, so allow me to close with a few considerations on the science that will inform the AR6. In our previous assessment so far, we have demonstrated the evidence for a changing climate and shown the role of human activity in that. AR6 will continue to examine the basic science as it advances, including the highly policy-relevant regional scale. But we will put an increasing focus on solutions. To do this, we will need to enhance our understanding of the economics of climate change, the costs of action and inaction, and the climate and the economy interaction. And as I mentioned earlier, we must put these solutions in the context of sustainable development. What will differentiate this 6th assessment report from the previous assessment is that it will present a scientifically robust, clear link between climate action and economic development. Human influence on the climate system is very clear. We now need to show how climate policy will become the main driver of economic policy in the 21st century. Let me give 3 examples. There's growing evidence that the spillover effects from research and development in renewables are bigger than conventional high-carbon technologies. This would suggest a net benefit to the economy from investing in renewables. We need to investigate this further. Secondly, I would argue that we need to review our understanding of the emissions gap. The concept of a gap very often taken to imply that taking action is costly. However, the cost difference between low carbon and conventional technologies is narrowing very rapidly, breaking every model projections. Thus, the emissions gap points to the large potential for renewables technologies. Thirdly, we need to review our understanding of so-called business as usual. If we simply extrapolate emissions and energy demand, our economy would certainly be damaged, destroyed by this climate damage that we expect to occur. So business as usual is a contradiction in terms. The business as usual emissions have direct implication to the cost of climate action. The mitigation cost as calculated in the integrated assessment modeling reflects the difference between a mitigation pathway and the baseline emissions with business as usual growth of 3% over this century. The more you assume the high baseline assumptions, the more costly it will be. But if emissions growth lost its strength, it will be less expensive to mitigate. Energy consumption would be the key. Or if SDGs were achieved, emissions would be well below the business as usual emissions level, and the cost of climate action would also be lower. Thus, the significance of business as usual lies in the need to improve the understanding of climate damages and consider feedback from climate risk to socioeconomic systems. Such feedback is missing in the current integrated assessment modeling efforts, which have been key inputs to the IPCC assessments. This feedback will improve understanding of the cost of climate action as well as its benefits. And the feedback will improve understanding of the climate economy interactions, key to the climate policy development in this century. Lastly, let me note the interdisciplinary nature of this new assessment. The contribution from the social sciences will be very, very important. Implementing the Paris Agreement is not just about technology. It involves understanding social values, consumption, lifestyle, and behavior. In addition to the natural sciences, we will look at the human side of this transition. Economics, social sciences, psychology, politics, international relations, just to name a few. As well as calculating risk, we need to understand how different stakeholders judge and respond to risk. This means we must improve our understanding of decision-making by countries, cities, businesses, individual consumers, and citizens. 30 years ago, when the IPCC first assessment process began, Professor Bert Bolin, the first chair of IPCC, the renowned Swedish professor, made it very clear that the IPCC first assessment report should include a proposal for action. He continued that while a fine balance would have to be struck between available scientific evidence for climate change and the uncertainties in that knowledge base, he emphasized that there should be no delay in preparing to act to safeguard the future of the planet. His insight and advice survived the test of time, and let me say that the spirit of science for climate action will continue to prevail. I wish you a stimulating day of discussions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, to our final opening remarks then, to the Deputy Executive Director of UNEP, Ibrahim Thiaw, welcome to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning, all. I thought I said good morning. Thank you. Minister Galletti. Buongiorno. It's wonderful to have you here. You referred to the G7 and the work that you do as a world leader dealing with environmental issues. Ladies and gentlemen, the Minister of Environment, Land and Sea, what is left? He is in charge of half of Italy. He is in charge of the air we breathe, of the water we drink, and the food we eat. Thank you very much for your leadership, sir. Rector Ubertini, thank you very much also for your remarks. My dear friend Hoesung, Chair of the IPCC, dear members of the Bureau of the IPCC, Excellencies, Ambassadors, dear scientists, leaders, and the youth, thank you very much for your presence here. I also would like to recognize my friend, Abdullah Muqset, Executive Secretary of the IPCC, as well as my colleagues from the World Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here in beautiful Bologna to celebrate 30 years of scientific excellence and leadership from the IPCC, the Human Rights Council is gathering in Geneva. We are meeting 600 miles apart, yet our objectives, our concern, and our priorities could not be closer. Because that council is gathering to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And because as climate change continues to bite, it threatens our ability to protect those most fundamental of rights. Things like the right to a standard of living adequate for our health and well-being, the right to own property, the right to freedom of movement, they all take on a new perspective when a growing population is faced with warming seas, shrinking land, reducing resources, and more extreme weather events. Already in the last 70 years since that declaration was signed, at least 40% of civil wars have been linked to natural resources. So what are the chances those risks will improve as climate pressure grows? When in the last decade, almost daily disasters related to weather forced an average of 26 million people from their homes every year. When by 2050, environmental factors could displace as many as 200 million. Or when within the next few decades, 1 in every 45 people on this planet could be forced out of their home and into the unknown. The statistics are endless, and it's easy, very easy, to be completely numbed by the numbers. Until that day, you or your loved ones become that 1 in 45, like my own family. In Mauritania, in the late 80s, a minor dispute over access to land and water sparked an international conflict that wrenched my family into the unknown. My father was among the many, many thousands of displaced, denied nationality, and deported from both sides of the Senegal River. He was eventually accepted as a refugee in Senegal and built a new life. But many others were not so lucky, and it will take generations to restore land, hope, and confidence in the region. Our Italian hosts are only too familiar with the knock-on effects of such displacement for the refugees, the communities where they relocate, and the authorities trying to manage everything in between. It's a story being played out by families from the Lake Chad Basin to the Louisiana Bayou to literally thousands of low-lying islands, thank you very much, Ambassador from Fiji, and coastal communities in developed and developing countries alike. Played out by real people, not statistics. Played out because climate change is putting pressure on their rights and resources, ultimately creating new flashpoints for crisis, conflicts, and inequality. It is a vicious circle, but it is not inevitable. Instead, thanks to hundreds of leading scientists at the IPCC, we can use solid findings to build policies that anticipate, mitigate, and adapt to the many risks related to climate change. That the greatest scientific minds in the world volunteer their contribution is simply awe-inspiring. Hollywood got it slightly wrong. Not all heroes wear lycra when they save the world. Sometimes they wear a lab coat. Because even if it too often goes unrecognized, the personal dedication of this IPCC scientific community is indeed heroic. And the magnitude and quality of their work reflects the power and strength of some incredibly talented individuals and teams. Together, they shape the decisions taken at the UN Environmental Assemblies and the climate conferences. They inform citizens, educators, and decision makers from every country, every sector, and every walk of life. And they give us options to break that destructive cycle. More than that, they give us options to turn that cycle into a force for more equitable, sustainable development. And with the list of authors for the next assessment being finalized, as we just heard from the chair of the IPCC, the special report on global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius due in October, and the UN Environment's annual emission gap report, as well as the adaptation gap report, providing complementary data, there is plenty of new climate science to drive much needed policies and action to build that force for change. For that, we owe a huge thanks to everyone who has worked for and with the IPCC over the last 30 years. I think all parents are proud of their offspring. They want them to mature and grow in a way that will leave the world a little better than they found it. It was the case for my father when he left Mauritania. It is the case for my own family. And for the UN environment and our partners and friends at the World Meteorological Organization, it is the case for the IPCC. That world leaders, industrial leaders, and community leaders can make life-changing decisions safe in the knowledge that the IPCC is providing them with solid scientific data is something we can all be extremely proud of. In the years ahead, there is no doubt that this increasingly diverse panel of experts will continue to mature in a way that allows us to surmount some enormous challenges. And for one, look forward to seeing just how much your valiant efforts can do to protect all our families and strengthen all our rights by the time the world marks your 70th anniversary. Thank you very much.